This video is all about waterproofing details for your foundation. We're gonna take a look at the last time we were here on site. My name is David with David Stumpf Architecture, your guide to anything and everything architecture related. Behind me here is a custom home that I designed, and we're going to be reviewing the waterproofing details for this home.
But before we do, I want to talk about the porch framing because those outdoor structures tie directly into what we're doing on the exterior of the home.
And that starts from in here. We have a double slider designed to go with doors that go left and right. So this is a full 12-foot slider. That's why we also have a triple LVL header here. And you can see that load carries all the way down through, much like what was happening in the garage and the other points of the house that I was talking about. I'm gonna step out here. The kitchen also has another slider, but it's more of a traditional slider. And we're gonna talk about our exterior framing here. So we have a porch system that's designed to be traditional because the home is transitional in style. So we have a mix between modern style elements and traditional style elements. The modern elements that we tried to push for were the large windows, the natural light. The traditional elements were things like the porch columns and the screened-in porch and the gable ends and the brick siding. Those were those traditional elements. So here, where we've talked about this before, we like to incorporate the entire foundation together. So that includes the porches, so they don't move differentially. We have temporary columns of 2x4s. So these are 4x4 temporary columns. They're intended to be 6x6 posts. This is kind of typical of porch construction. You put these in here and then you come back later with the true porch posts because they'll pour a slab, then you put your anchor, your column anchor in. It's typically a Simpson column anchor that I specify. And then you attach that and then attach it up at the top. So what we're seeing here is our double 2x12s that carry our load across, that carries that porch load across, lands into another double 2x12 that carries the porch roof and half of this beam. So we're seeing all of that correct. And again, we're seeing another temporary column right here. Again, that's gonna end up being another 6x6 post so that it can anchor in correctly. And we go with 6x6s specifically because they're stronger and because they scale out appropriately. So when you wrap those things with your column wrap, they look appropriate in scale to the rest of the house. What I like to do is design so that the columns look and act like a traditional column. You guys can check out the YouTuber Brent Hull. He's a preservationist and a home builder in Fort Worth, and he does a lot of content on columns and how to do those correctly. And that's what we're trying to do here as well.
I highly recommend Marianne Cusato's Get Your House Right. It goes through all of the details of how to design a timeless and beautiful home with appropriate scaling. So this is a must-have for architects, builders, or even homeowners that want to have a beautiful home. I'll include an Amazon link in the description of this video where you can pick up a copy of this for yourself.
So these things will also die in to the face. We'll have a faux column on either end, and then we infill all of this with a screened porch. So it's good to see all of this is done correctly. We also have a recess in this ceiling as well. So when you walk in here, there'll be a coffered ceiling in here as well that raises up. So you really get almost like a 12-foot ceiling in here. So this is a really volume-filled space, which is very nice to have for outdoor space, a porch screened in that really in this part of the country, you're using almost 5 months out of the year. What do you say, Sean? When it's screened in, you can use it.
You could use it more than that.
Yeah.
You could use it almost half the year.
Almost half the year. There's like 3 months where it's maybe too cold, unless you install heaters inside there. That's not something we talked about, but really a screened in porch is something you can use almost all year round in this part of the country. The last thing we're touching on today is the assembly on the outside, because we didn't get to touch on this before, and I wanted to make sure that it was done correctly. The exterior of our wall system is a zip system board. This is a 7/16 inch board. It's a full structural panel, shear panel, and then the green membrane on it is a factory applied weather barrier. And then they use a tape to seal the seams. This is a chemically bonded tape to our zip board. One thing I did note is they have not rolled the tape. So it says roll the tape right here, and they give you or sell a roller that leaves a little Z impression in the tape so that you know it's been rolled. This has not been rolled. I am even like pushing down some things here. That is like crucial to do. So, I mean, they've got a lot of work to do still, so they probably are gonna come back and do that, have one of the guys just go by and roll it all. Another thing I don't like to see is the way they lap this. It should be done in a shingle-like fashion, so as you go up, the top should lap over the bottom. But again, they're not done yet. They've got almost another week of work to do, so we'll come back and we'll see that later before they put the siding on. And then we've got our waterproofing membrane here. So you can see right here, this is our waterproofing. We got exposed concrete here where they oversprayed. This is our barrier to prevent water from getting into the concrete. It's a very thick membrane. I think it's like 20 mils thick.
We're going to flip over to our construction details page, and we're going to zoom in on our enlarged wall and footer detail. Here you can clearly see that we've called out a 60 mil fluid applied waterproofing membrane. It's important to note that I've also detailed the waterproofing membrane to continue down the foundation wall and cover the footer completely. We want to make sure that we're mitigating any water intrusion through the footer or through the joint between the footer and the foundation wall. You'll also see that we originally had designed the foundation system to be covered with 3 inches of rigid foam. Because we'll be insulating the interior, our contractor has gone with the other type of insulation for the exterior. And we're also calling out a protection board over top of the waterproofing so that when we backfill, it doesn't scrape off the waterproofing. We also have an interior and an exterior drain. If you've watched our previous videos, you'll see that our contractor used Forma drain. Here I'm showing traditional drain tile on the interior and exterior because if water is finding its way on the outside of the building, it can also work its way underneath the footers and under the slab. So we want to make sure that we're draining all water away from our building. And there are multiple different types of waterproofing membranes, including liquid applied and solid sheet membranes. Regardless of the waterproofing membrane you choose, it's important to get the details correct. It's more expensive to have to come back later and redo the waterproofing system. We ran into this recently on a different project with a different contractor who damp-proofed the foundation rather than waterproofing it, causing water to enter the foundation system before the home was even completed, and the homeowners ended up having to hire a foundation company to come in and re-waterproof their foundation. We want to make sure that water does not penetrate the foundation wall, and if it does build up around it, we can get it away.
But you can tell in comparison to some of my other projects where the contractor did not follow the drawings correctly, this is done correctly. They come in and they spray the whole thing, and then it takes a day or two to dry. Right here we have our protection board. It's an insulation type board that acts as a protection layer for our waterproofing and helps prevent all this backfill that happens from damaging our waterproofing. And it really just helps wick that water away, stops, this is stopping any hydrostatic pressure from working its way into the concrete and then into the house. You might ask yourself, why is there no protection board here? That's because this is our brick ledge. There'll be brick that's installed over top of this and work its way up the rest of the house. And then over here, this is all exposed around our escape hatch area that we're going to be installing, and then they'll come back with protection board and fill that space in once it's installed. So typically what I like to see is also a liquid applied flashing here. Zip actually makes it, and they just gun it on and then they come by and trowel it. That gives you a better air seal. We're not gonna have an air seal if we don't do that here. We've got that specified on another project up in Ligonier. Commercial project.
If you're interested in learning more about the commercial project that I just mentioned, we're helping our clients renovate their golf course and turn this old cart building into an event facility. You can learn more in the description of this video, where I'll have a link to our video series about this build. And if you're interested in golfing here, you can go over to pagolf.com and book a tee time.
Again, they're not all the way done yet, so it's hard for me to say, is that done or not? I'm just gonna bring it up to Larry and ask him those questions, and then we'll see what happens with that. Another thing, you'll note that the waterproofing doesn't continue all the way to the garages. I do like to see that, but it's not a necessity because we don't have a basement down there. Water can still work through that and then eventually get into the slabs or under the slabs. So typically, I do like to see waterproofing all the way around. You don't need to do it on the porches, but you should do it all the way over here, but you don't need to. If you're asking that question, why isn't it over here? That's because that's just slab on grade, that's the garage. We'll have a vapor barrier under the concrete that inhibits most of the water from moving in. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. I'll be sure to answer all of those. Sean, as a guy who's not in the construction or architecture field, what do you think?
As we've been going through this, I do have a few questions, and one that stands out to me, especially with this huge roof line. Are you utilizing any of it, or is there attic space, a second floor? I mean, you have this boxy area here that would be prime for a place, you know, to use as storage or even a second room upstairs. You tell me, I don't know. We talked about all that space that was down here before and how cool that would be if you utilize that as like a panic room or even just extra storage. But what about upstairs? I don't know, you tell me.
I actually brought that up to Larry when I met him the other day, and we were joking around really. And I said, my brother Sean had suggested, oh, you could put a panic room under there. And he said the same thing. His guys were like, oh, you could just come around here, put a door there, access, and they could just do that. The same thing will apply upstairs. You can really do whatever you want, but it all comes down to budget. What can you afford? We have to cut certain things somewhere, and you're not going to be able to get everything when you're working with a budget. This client particularly, she had a tight budget, but she had certain things she wanted to focus on. So instead of creating attic trusses up here, like we did in the front for that bonus room, we did standard trusses to get the volume of the roof that was needed to get the look for the house that she wants. And the trade-off where we could have used attic trusses are going to go into millwork on the interior. So she wants to do a lot of millwork on the inside. She wants to have a very nice kitchen, and all of that extra detail is money more well spent on the interior rather than adding attic space or adding basement space. Does that answer your question, Sean?
Yeah, actually it makes total sense. When you're working with a budget, I totally understand it. But what I didn't know beforehand was that this is the standard truss for attics. I thought that all trusses came with space, but thank you for clarifying that, Dave, because I have no idea what I'm looking at here.
If you found this video entertaining or informative, hit that like button for me and share it with somebody else who might find this enjoyable as well. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, subscribe for more videos about this project or how an architect designs a beautiful home just like this. But don't go anywhere, because the next video is about to start.